So Mark Duran, watch out for this beautiful backhand from Mark, and a good forehand to follow it up.
1-love.
Just warming it up, I hope. So Mark Duran in the green, and the grey and yellow of Wang Shibo. Backhand to backhand. See the punch there from Mark Duran.
1-all.
It actually worked. It went down the line, touched the edge of the table, and there switched it down the line. And again, down the line. Now Mark there deliberately playing a little bit slower on the forehand, choosing control over power and risk.
Yeah, so I imagine Mark's plan is to go backhand to backhand as much as he can with the pen holder Wang. You would really expect him to win those exchanges, but Wang does look very consistent so far.
Yeah, very solid player. Forehand serve from the backhand side. Duran, it's that pump action backhand more.
2-4.
More of a punch. Waits for the ball to get right in towards his tummy. The Chinese, very, very consistent. That's nice. Compact.
3-4.
Yeah, now we see that backhand from Duran. It's amazing how quickly his arm goes through the stroke. It's not that much backswing. It just almost springs forward.
5-3.
Yeah. And Mark did very well last year.
Yeah, he did. Semi-finalist last year, so he's...
Love that. Wang Shibo went down the line from the backhand into the forehand, and Mark was across to it and hit it wide across court. You can see the back wobbling. Not sure if it's going to his backhand or his forehand. And then there...
5-0.
Yeah, so number 4 seed this year as a result of his great performance last year, which you know, is a real test for the Chinese player to see how he gets on against one of the higher ranked players in the world.
Indeed. Is that a broken ball or a double pointer? I think it's a broken ball. The ball actually broke during the rally, so they just stop. They'll have a little warm up with the new ball and then replay the points. Happy with the new ball.
5-0.
So it's just to check that the new ball's okay, and it is. So again, backhand to backhand.
5-6.
Playing forehand from the crossover point, really. Wang Shibo playing in between Mark Duran's backhand and forehand. Nice backhand down the line from Mark Duran. That's a big forehand from Wang Shibo. Ball came up.
7-5.
Dispatched that one pretty efficiently. Mark serving fast serve from the backhand side. Gets himself in trouble here, and well dealt with there by Wang Shibo. There's the big backhand punches.
5-6.
So those harder backhands were enabled because Wang Shibo just dropped it a little bit shorter. That enabled Mark to keep attacking hard on the backhand corner.
7-0.
And that's the shot I remember from last year, that fast backhand punch down the line, which Wang was unable to respond to that time.
8-7.
So Mark just looking a little bit more confident now. Forehand from the middle, backhand down the line, the famous one, and then into the backhand.
7-9.
Once you've opened up the gap and created a space.
It'll be interesting if Wang starts to realise that he wants to stay away from those backhand to backhand exchanges and try and get more forehand to forehand stuff going on.
Yeah, possibly.
8-9.
And then we'll see how it evolves if that starts to happen, what Mark does with it. Whether indeed it becomes an advantage to Wang if he plays backhand down the line to Mark Duran's forehand. But players will always change something if they're not winning.
Two fantastic shots to finish that rally. One corner, then the other, both right on the join of the white lines across the baseline and the sideline. Fantastic play.
Wang Chibo being very, very clever about exactly where he's putting it. He's keeping Marc Duran off balance on the backhand, putting it a little bit wider to the backhand, a little bit more to the crossover.
11-9.
Just making Marc Duran move side to side so he can't settle and play his strong counter drive just from one position. Good backhand shot from Marc Duran, but 2 smashes from Wang Chibo. Recovered very well from the first one. Of course, it's a very long follow through, and he has to recover and get back for the next one. It's a bit like throwing 2 javelins in half a second.
Yeah, I hate saying you're right, Colin, but you are right. Wang is really cleverly playing to the right hip quite often of Duran, and he's never playing forehands there. He's trying to play the backhand slightly off balance, and it's making him miss.
Well, thanks, Tone. Into the backhand, into the crossover. It's a classic example there. Back into the backhand and then to crossover. Weak forehand from Marc Duran. Very, very clever play there from Wang. With subtle movements. He knows exactly what he's trying to do. Executing it very, very well. So 3-point lead for Wang. 2 points away from the first game. 15 points to bag the game. Marc just unable to dominate now.
14-10.
5 game points to Wang. And there it is, first game 15-10.
Game won.
Well, that was a very, very good recovery from Wang. Marc Duran got back into it towards the middle of the game and Wang really pulling it out at the end. Very, very efficient performance.
Yeah, I thought Wang played that tactically really well. Just started hammering the centre of the table, and where a lot of players would play a lot of forehands from there, Marc was favouring his backhand side. Interesting to see him getting coached by the world champion Yan there.
Yeah, that can only help, and plenty of water going down. It's very hot out there. You're under the TV lights. Got 1,000 people around you. And there's Yan, world champion, speaking with some confidence about what he needs to do in the second game. Amazing how many components there are that make up a complete performance in this game.
Yeah, so he'll be wanting to stay on top of Duran. I think it's going to be telling him to focus on that centre point of the table. Seemed to work really well for him. From Duran's point of view, looking at some of the supporters of Wang in the crowd there, from Duran's point of view, well, I think he needs to be a bit more positive with his forehand.
To serve level.
Second game, love all Duran serving. Backhand down the line from Duran. And again into the crossover. Duran having to move and play a forehand. And he's not as quick, Marc Duran, to play in a good forehand when the ball's placed into his crossover. Again, Wang Chibo pummels the crossover. That time, Marc Duran goes across to play a backhand. But beautiful service stroke production. And then lovely backhand. So not so powerful a backhand from Wang Chibo. Sometimes penholders have very powerful backhands. Not always. Wang's isn't that great, but good enough to beat a great player like Duran 15-10 as part of his overall game.
2-3.
Yeah, there we see it again. Really clever play from Wang, and both times Duran played a forehand, he just lifted it with no real power. And that enabled Wang then to take the initiative and pummel the ball quite hard at Duran afterwards.
Fast serve to the crossover.
5-2.
Got the ball up. Bashed it hard with the forehand again into the crossover. Well, it's pretty clear where Wang thinks he can get underneath Marc's skin.
3-5.
see Mark change the way he was holding the bat there, Tony, on the serve.
3-6.
So not holding it in the traditional way, moving the bat around in his hand in order to create the serve.
Yes, to allow his wrist to be a bit more flexible.
7-3.
Mark looking just a tiny bit disconsolate there. I think you need to find a new kind of energy from somewhere to take
8-3.
This is not going to win in the match. That's where you have to rack your brains and find a way out.
Net serve.
It's a beautiful serve, a little bit of side spin into the crossover. Mark talking to himself into the crossover. Mark went round, saw it coming.
3-9.
Didn't make the forehand. The forehand from the crossover has been a weakness of Mark today.
Yeah, and this is really impressive from Wang. I mean, Duran played the world champion Yan last year and gave him a real scare. Wang's not having the same sort of problems. So we could see another real top-class Chinese player here.
3-10.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I said this could be a great match and explosive. I think it has been. Look at that power.
10-4.
I would have liked it to have been closer. But such is the quality. Look at that. Quality serve. The hit really strong, and that's going to go past him.
11-4.
Yeah, great fast serve into the crossover there, to that right hip.
Drop shot's lucky.
Yeah. Well put away. It's always hard to keep your focus when something like that happens, but no error.
Oh, that's a beauty. Now, he did get his forehand from the crossover there. Yeah,
Double
time for the double point ball.
Mr. Duran.
Last ditch defense here from Duran. Double point ball now. 2 points on 2 points if he can convert this point on his serve. That's a great forehand from Mark Duran. Wang's footwork, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, terrific play from Wang. I thought Duran played that really well. He even mixed it up and threw in a chop in the middle of the rally.
Yeah, so you watch Wang's feet here. Goes wide of the forehand there, comes in, around, beautiful footwork. Great control from the crossover.
12-6.
Wonderful play, really wonderful play. So
Double
Duran
point
played
ball
his
from
double point
Mr.
ball, but the
Wang.
red line across means that he didn't convert it. Wang's taking his opportunity, and this is the latest chance that he might have to play it, because it's a game and 12-6 up. You can't take the double point ball on 13 to give you a direct victory. And he takes it, 6-14. 9 match points to Wang Shibo, the very impressive 34-year-old from Zhuzhou. That's a beautiful stroke.
15-6,
well, stroke
game
production,
match,
absolutely wonderful. You see just the technical display of Liang's work and of Wang Shibo in the last 2 games. Beautiful to watch. That's great stuff. Nothing wasted. Really consistent. Power when he can.